Jai Shri Ram. So today we begin with Canto 118. The summary of the canto. At the end of her dialogue with Sita, Anushya requests her to ask a boon, and, highly pleased with her, the hermitress bestows heavenly flowers and ornaments on her. Urged by Anushya, she relates to the hermitess the story of her marriage. Now we start the chapter. Applauding her speech when instructed in the foregoing words by Anushya, Sita, a princess of the Videha kingdom for her part, who was free from the carping spirit, actually began slowly to reply as follows. This instruction which you have given to me is no matter for wonder on your Holiness's part. It is, however, already known to me as well how the husband is the adored of a matron. Even if this husband of mine were ignoble and without any means of livelihood, I ought to have nonetheless conducted myself just in the same way, without any hesitation or scruple towards him. This was my duty. How much more worthy of devotion then is he who is deserving of praise by virtue of his excellences and full of compassion, nay, who has controlled all his senses, including the mind, the inner sense, who is constant in his love, whose mind is set on righteousness, and who is loving both as a mother and father combined. Sri Ram, who is possessed of great might, conducted himself towards the other consorts of the king, his stepmothers, in the same way as he did towards Kaushalya, his own mother. Giving up all his self-esteem, the gallant prince, who was lovingly devoted to the king, his father, and knew what is right, conducted himself as he would towards his own mother, even towards the women who had been looked upon with love by the king but once. Whatever was taught to me by my mother-in-law while I was coming to the lonely forest, which is so frightful as well, stands inscribed on my heart. Nay, that lesson too, which was actually imparted to me in the past by my mother while making over my hand to the bridegroom all the time of marriage in the presence of the sacred fire, is still remembered by me. All that teaching has actually been renewed in my mind by your teachings, O Lady, given to the practice of virtue. No ascesis other than the service of one's husband is enjoined on a matron. Having rendered service to her husband all her life, Savitri, the celebrated wife of Prince Satyavan, is now greatly respected in heaven. Nay, conducting yourself in the same way, you too have virtually ascended to the heaven through service to your husband. By virtue of her devotion to her spouse, this Rohini, the most favorite consort of the moon god, presiding over a constellation of the same name, the most excellent of all women, and now dwelling in heaven as a deity, is not seen in the heavens without the moon even for a while. Nay, steadfast in their vow of fidelity to their husband, more such exalted women are highly respected in the realm of gods by virtue of their meritorious action. Highly rejoiced to hear the reply made by Sita, and smelling her head as a token of affection, Anushya thereupon said, cheering the princes of Mithila at the same time, indeed, there exists to my credit ample spiritual energy earned through religious observances of various kinds. Banking on that energy, O Sita of holy vows, I request you to ask a boon of me. What you have said, O Princess of Mithila, is reasonable and just, and I am pleased to hear it. Tell me, O Sita, what kindly act can I do for you? Astonished to hear the aforesaid utterance of Anusuya, Sita, gently smiling, replied to the lady who was richly endowed with spiritual energy earned through ascesis, everything stands already accomplished by your holiness's graces alone. Spoken to in these words by Sita, Anusuya, for her part, who knew what is right, felt all the more gratified and said, "Ha ha, I make your extreme gratification born of contentment fruitful by offering loving gifts to you. Here are excellent celestial garment and ornaments, cosmetics, and a precious unguent, O Princess of Videha kingdom. Let this gift bestowed by me, O Sita, beautify your limbs. It will prove worthy of you and will remain intact for all time to come, even after constant use. Your limbs smeared with the celestial cosmetic, O daughter of Janak, you will adorn your husband as Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune and beauty. Thus, the imperishable Lord Vishnu, the aforesaid Princess of Mithila, accepted the garment as well as the cosmetics, jewels, and wreaths of flowers as an unsurpassed gift of love. Accepting that gift of love, the illustrious and wise Sita remained sitting with folded hands by the side of that lady whose sole wealth was her asceticism. Anusuya, of steadfast vows, next proceeded to speak as follows to Sita, sitting beside her as aforesaid, in order to draw out from her a pleasing narrative. The story has actually reached my ears, O Sita, that you were secured by this illustrious prince Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, in a bowstring event. I long to hear that story in extenso too, O Princess of Mithila. You should therefore tell me in full how it happened. Saying, be pleased to listen when requested in the foregoing words, the aforesaid Sita, for her part, actually began as follows to narrate that story to the hermitess who was given to the practice of virtue. The gallant king of Mithila, Janak by name, who knows what is right and is devoted to the duties of a Kshatriya, rules over the earth with equity. While he was furrowing a plot of land fit to serve as a sacrificial ground, plough in hand, I emerged, they say, breaking through the earth, and came to be the king's daughter since that time. The said King Janak, who was diligently engaged in scattering handfuls of seed, was astonished to behold me, all my limbs covered with dust. Nay, spontaneously lifting me up in his arms out of affection and saying, "This shall be my daughter," since he had no issue then, love was bestowed lavishly by him on me. A superhuman voice, they say, was also heard in the sky about me. Let it be so, O protector of men. She will be your daughter from the moral point of view indeed. My father, the ruler of Mithila, whose mind is given to piety, felt highly rejoiced at that. Nay, the king attained a vast fortune on securing me. I was further given over like a coveted issue to the senior-most queen, who was given to meritorious deeds, and I was brought up by that tender lady through motherly affection. Perceiving my age to be such when union with a husband can be easily had, my father, for his part, fell a prey to anxiety, feeling distressed as a destitute would through loss of fortune. The father of an unmarried girl, even though he is a compeer of Indra, the Lord of Paradise on earth, suffers indignity in the world at the hands of a suitor's men, no matter if they are equal or even inferior in status to him. Perceiving that indignity threatening him at no distant date, the king was plunged in a sea of anxiety and did not reach its end any more than a man without a bark would reach the end of a sea. Knowing me as he did, undoubtedly to be one not emerged from the mother's womb, the aforesaid king could not, even though reflecting, find out a befitting and worthy match for me. As he was constantly reflecting, the idea stuck in my mind, according to the moral code prescribed for the Kshatriyas, I shall so arrange that my daughter selects a match for herself of her own free will at an assembly of suitors. At a great sacrifice performed by Daksha, a lord of created beings at the beginning of creation, an excellent bow capable of subduing the enemy, as well as a pair of quivers containing an inexhaustible stock of arrows, was bestowed with love by the high-souled Varuna as an agent of gods, as enjoined by Lord Shiva, whom the gods had approached for such a bow, upon the celebrated Devarata, a forebear of King Janak, at a time when the gods were oppressed by Lord Shiva, infuriated by the self-immolation of his divine consort Sati. Nay, monarchs were not able, even in their dreams, to bend it, as it could not even be moved with effort by men because of its heavy weight. Having in the first instance invited rulers of the king, and then with reverence sought the aforesaid bow, it was announced by my father, who always spoke the truth in an assembly of monarchs, that my daughter shall come to be the wife of that man who, having lifted up this bow, forthwith strings it. There is no doubt about it. Beholding that jewel among bows, which to a great extent compared with a mountain in point of its weight, and saluting it, the rulers of men withdrew, unable as they were even to support it on their hands. After a sufficiently long time, however, Sri Ram, who is present here and who is possessed of great splendor, duly arrived at the scene, accompanied by sage Vishwamitra, to behold the bowstringing event. Sri Ram, who is possessed of an unfailing prowess, along with his younger brother Lakshman, as well as sage Vishwamitra, whose mind is set on piety, was undoubtedly treated with great respect by my father. Vishwamitra on that occasion said to my father, "Here are the two sons of Dashrath, Sri Ram and Lakshman by name, sons of Raghu, who are keen to behold the bow. Therefore, please show the celestial bow to Prince Ram." Urged in these words by the Brahman, my father caused that bow to be duly brought to their presence and showed that celestial bow to the prince. Bending a little in a mere instant and fixing the string to it, the very mighty prince, who was full of valor, quickly drew it at full length. The bow was broken in two at the middle by Sri Ram while he was pulling it with force. A terrific sound like that of a thunderbolt falling on earth rose from it. I was then kept by my father, who is true to his promise and had by his side an excellent vessel of water in order to wash the feet and hands of the bridegroom as a token of respect before giving me away to him in marriage, in readiness for being given away on that very spot to Sri Ram. Now, not knowing full well the mind of his father, the paramount ruler of Ayodhya, and his master, Sri Ram, a sign of Raghu, however, did not accept me as bride while I was being offered in marriage. Thereupon, inviting to his capital my father-in-law, the aged King Dashrath, I, for my part, was then given away in marriage to Sri Ram, who has realized the self. My younger sister, the virtuous Urmila of blessed appearance, was also given away by my father of his own accord to Lakshman for being taken to wife. Thus, I was given away in marriage to Sri Ram in that wise on the aforesaid occasion of election of a bridegroom by myself, and since then I remain devoted with piety to my husband, the foremost of those who are possessed of valor. Thus ends Canto 118 in the AYODHYAKAND of the glorious Ramayan of Valmiki, the work of a rishi and the oldest epic. Jai Shri Ram.